Welcome, everyone. My name is Aaron Goins, and I just want to have a special call to talk about mindset. In today's society, we have so many things, so many distractions in life. And I think that one thing you got to do to be successful is have a great mindset because you're going to have adversity in your life and you got to push through adversity. And I have some gentlemen on here who are experts in talking about mindset. So I wanted to have a quick call to talk about mindset and hear from people who are more successful than I am about what it takes to be and to be successful in today's society. So I have here Dr. Jamil, Edmund Chin, and Scott Connors to talk about mindset. So welcome, gentlemen, to this special call about mindset. Dr. Jamil, can you start off and just introduce yourself to everybody, please?
Sure, Edmund. Yeah, thank you so much for putting this together, bringing us all here, and I hope everyone who's listening is doing well. Real briefly, I'm Dr. Jamil Sayed. I'm a life, business, and relationship coach, lover of people, hoping this will be so useful to everyone who's listening. And my life mission is about helping leaders and high performers create an extraordinary life without regret.
Ooh. Edmund.
Yeah, I'm a sales and business coach. My background is I spent 15 years in finance on the client-facing side. So I was a licensed stockbroker as well as a private equity real estate professional, eventually ending up pretty much for high net worth clients all the way up to and including family office. Also a retired military, so spent 10 years in the Canadian military, airborne infantry.
And Scott.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Aaron, for the opportunity to join today's call and be surrounded by those that are more expert at life than I. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and am humbly proud to look at this screen and see the faces around me. So thank you for that. My name is Scott Connors. I am the Chief Change Officer for Cranksake Group out of Denver, Colorado. We've been in the change management business for over a decade now. And my goal worldwide is to implement culture change from an industrial aged mindset to a participation age mindset, culture along the way. And so mindset carries on just beyond what's in our individual minds, but what's the collective mindset of the places that we put ourselves, the choices we make to do so. And so I'm excited to be here today and maybe add an overlay to personal and professional mindset to organizational and cultural mindset as well.
Yeah, and thank you, gentlemen, so much once again for attending. So let me just start off by asking some questions and going from there. So let's start off with Dr. Jamil. Dr. Jamil, in today's society, with our pandemic going on, with so much stuff going on, why is a mindset so important?
Yeah. So I think that, so first of all, I think it's useful to define, what is mindset for keeping it real simple from my perspective. Mindset is the paradigm from which you experience the world. And when we come from this place of saying we don't experience life as it is, we experience life as we are, then from that space, everything that's happening around us, everything in the world, in the external environment that's happening, as it comes in, it gets interpreted. And usually that's even happening on an unconscious level, but it gets interpreted, we make it mean something, and that creates our experience of it. And so, as you said, with the pandemic, with everything that's been going on for the last 15 or so months, in that experience, we've had all across the board the full spectrum of experiences of what's been going on. Some people, it's been the worst 15 months of their life. Some people have had very hard things happen to them, but they somehow made it the best 15 months of their life. And that's an interesting dynamic because there's a large group of people that we've been conditioned to believe what happens outside is the cause of what we're feeling inside. I feel sad, I feel depressed, I feel discouraged because all this stuff out here has happened. But that puts us in a disempowered space. That makes us a victim to life. We can shift that and realize that our internal state and our external reality are two separate things that actually there's no direct causation there. That is, for me, the importance of mindset because it allows you to empower yourself, step into the role of a creator of your life so that regardless of what's happening outside of you, you can still thrive and you can still win and create the life that you want.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Edmund, with you or your coaching clients, why is mindset so important, and what is it, some of the tactics that you use to talk to your coaching clients about mindset?
I think it's really important. There's a lot to unpack in this, but basically what it comes down to is very high level sales and economics turns into behavioral science. And a big part of behavioral science is to get into the psychology of things, which includes a lot of different chemicals that your body's going through and how you react to things that you see. So exactly what, just like the good doctor was talking about, there's many different ways that we can perceive certain things that are out in the world. And if we change and reframe our mindset on how we want to interpret those things, like if we always focus in on the negative and we tend to exaggerate those negatives, well, your body's going to go through a chemical called cortisol, which is a stress chemical, and it keeps going through your system. And as cortisol keeps going through your system, you're going to miss opportunities. These are some of the concepts that are even taught in the Combat Hunter program with the U.S. Marine Corps, that if you're under severe stress, then you start impeding your cognitive ability. So how do you change a lot of those things? And I started to learn a lot about, like, I'm a self-study in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and initially learned it to really help some of my veteran friends as they're coming back from the global war on terror, and utilizing a lot of CBT to walk them back, to help them change their positivity. CBT is just reframing a lot of the situations that we have in order to take an ease on our mental capacity to increase our cognitive abilities and reframe basically what we see and reframe the situation and sort of highlight more of the things of gratitude. As I started to do that, I just started to discover, you know what, this is very helpful for salespeople too. Because at the same time, I was a manager of salespeople, and salespeople in the business world are borderline bipolar, which they have the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. And as a really good mentor in a sales environment, a really good mentor has the ability to knock off the highs and the lows and keep people more stable in a sales environment. So it's very similar. And I also use CBT to do that and help walk people back and say, okay, the best thing you can do when you close a big account and sell, instead of going out and celebrating, get back on the phone and keep prospecting. Or when you lose a big account, you're not the biggest loser in the world. You actually know your stuff. Go back and get back on the phone and keep being productive.
Yeah, great stuff, man. Great stuff. Scott, um, me and you have talked, and I know about, a lot of your journey, but in your journey in life and being successful where you're at right now, how has mindset helped you?
Thank you, and thanks again for having me, and thank you for the insights, Edmund and Dr. Jamil. Um, I would add just a few comments. I always like to break things down to their most simplest of terms, if I can, and I think that we all do that as we're in that coaching, or that we put on those advisor hats, right? The first thing is to Dr. Jamil's point about mindset and how we frame things, the internal versus the external. I always like to give people the very simple rule that problems are always opportunities. We don't have problems, we have opportunities. And I think that that's very important for the folks that are listening in on mindset to really look at that. And to Edmund's point about how we reframe, I like to use the word restory, same. But we need to look at problems as opportunities and see them through that lens. That's mindset in a nutshell, right there. If you can view problems as opportunities. The other thing is that for the salespeople out there, the bipolar ones, because Edmund's right to a degree. They all the highs and the lows, right? Uh, we never lose. We never ever lose. We win or we learn. And a strong mindset is one who looks at the failures and fails forward. What did we learn? Why didn't we get the account? Why didn't we close? Why didn't we? Whatever it is that follows the we is important to know that we're going to fail together because we're going to learn together and fail forward. So there is no wins and losses. The third point being is that mindset is emotional, right? There's feelings attached. Business is emotional. And I don't know, doctor, if that's a real word or not. But I've used it for quite some time now with a lot of strong effect. Take the emotion out of the business. place the emotion in the learning from the opportunities that business has presented us. Unfortunately, in a capitalist society, especially, the rewards for success up till COVID, different world now, have been based predominantly on the levels of our bank accounts or the emblems on our automobiles or the size of our homes. Mindset is about understanding that a great life lived is not about duration, it's about donation. So if we can give back to those and serve those that have served us, then our mindset will automatically gravitate to the opportunities in life versus the problems that have been presented. So I think those three very simple rules, and I'll repeat them for the listeners. Number one, problems are opportunities. Number two, we never lose. We win or we learn. And number three, fail forward. That allows us to embrace the highs and the lows and get them out of the way. It allows us to focus with a mindset that's purposeful and applied to business. And that's the last point that I'll make, is that without purpose, mindset is very difficult to change. There always has to be a why do I want to change? Why do I need to change? Why is change necessary? I chose the title Chief Change Officer purposefully because when I have any conversations or interactions, it's about change. We're somewhere. Where do we want to go next? So I think hopefully that answers your question. Um, but those are the approaches that I take in the work that I do.
Yeah. Okay. So we only have a short time, but I do want to bring out one more big question, and I think this is really for a lot of entrepreneurs, for all three of you gentlemen to answer, is resiliency. You hear how that successful people have gone through the ups and downs. You hear stories about people who have got 70, 80 no's, but then they got that one yes and it turned them around. But you still got to go through 70, 80 no's first. So what's just a pointer that you guys can just talk to about the listeners about resiliency and how to go through it? Because it sounds great, but when you get all those no's, it's really depressing. Something you, Dr. Jamil.
Yeah. So I'd like to respectfully challenge the last thing you just said, that when you get a lot of no's, it's really depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason is because no and yes are neutral statements. They don't have any emotional attachment to them outside of the emotional attachment we give them. When we get depressed because we say, I got rejected, rejection doesn't exist. Rejection is a concept. Rejection is the story that you make up about what my no means. If you say, hey, you want to buy this? And I say no, that just means no. Right now, I don't want that. That doesn't mean you're bad at what you do. That doesn't mean nobody cares. It doesn't mean all these stories that we make up about what no means. And so when I see somebody go through, in your example, 70 no's, and then the 71st one was the big yes that they were waiting for their whole life, and you might think, well, how did they do that? How did they stick with 70 no's? Because they didn't take no personally. They didn't let no stop them. And when you realize that no, fun little acronym like no is NO, it's next opportunity or next one, And if you look at it from that perspective, and for me, like mindset, keep this in mind. It's all made up. We're all living in stories. We're all living in meanings and interpretations that we apply to the external world. And you're not doing that. So if you're going to be making it up anyway, might as well make up a story that serves you. And so from that perspective, and to Scott's point, I don't believe in failure, because failure is a concept too. Failure doesn't exist. I can choose to see it as a failure, or I can learn from it. Oh, wow, 5 people in a row just told me no. Maybe it's my approach. Maybe it's the tonality. Maybe it's what I'm actually offering. Maybe it's how I'm speaking about what I'm doing. Maybe I'm making it about me and not about and from that perspective, I learn from it, and each no, I'm growing. Each no, it's a win, because I'm getting better and better, more likely to get my yes. So again, the big takeaway, rejection doesn't exist. And but how are you applying this story of rejection to this situation, because that's creating your experience of it.
Wow. Wow. Edmund, how about yourself?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I had a sales coach that mentioned that when it comes to, like, we tend to internalize so much of what happens to us. And a lot of the times when we get on the phones or we're talking to somebody and it's a no, it could have a lot of the times nothing to do with us. And for what we used to do in our firm, I used to start on the, like, many years ago, like 2 decades ago, I started out as a cold caller, and it's constant rejection, like 30 times a day. And part of the things that we did to reframe it is to say that, well, we have an ideal client, and the ideal client we are looking for is somebody who's open to opportunity, open to new ideas. And if somebody's going to be an uphill battle. So the first thing we're doing is we're actually filtering people through the phone. If I give you a premise and you immediately say no, my thinking is it could be one thing. It could be that I hit you at the wrong time and it's about you. And then the second one is you could be a very closed-minded person, and if that's the case, then your success in life is probably going to be more limited. And I only work with successful people. So the fact that you said no to me is less about me and more about you. So it's okay. I'm going to move on and go try to find the next person. Another big part of resiliency that we want to talk about is there was a program here in Canada through the VA, through the Veterans Affairs, called Mental Health First Aid. And in mental health first aid, one of the things that they concluded is that the people that are more resilient are the people with a wider network, a better social network of collection of friends and people. And they tend to have more resiliency mentally to be able to handle some of the rough patches in life. So part of the things that I try to coach people into is reframe what you're trying to go through in life. Instead of trying to collect wealth, which is not bad, it's okay to collect some wealth, but have a higher priority to instead collect wealth, collect friendships and people. So to Scott's point, Scott talked about giving back and donation. And how I tell people to do that is give back by mentoring others. So always be mentored by somebody, but always mentor somebody else. So if you take a look for an example at an oak tree starts off as an acorn, gets in the ground, breaks up, goes through a lot of pressure and stress, and becomes this giant tree. But as it starts growing into a giant tree, what does it do? It starts throwing acorns back down on the ground and starts making more acorns. That is how Thrive Life works. And there's so many people in society that don't follow that same example, where a tree, but they never drop an acorn. And when you do that, you yourself start missing out on that thriving kind of resilient component. That if you go out and you start giving back and you start mentoring people, you start to collect and amass a really good network of people and a really good social network that becomes an incredible value, not just to you, but to other people as well.
Wow. And wow. Scott, how about yourself?
Yeah, once again, extraordinary points that both of your guests have made. Resiliency, to me, and to the work that I do, and that we're talking about here to the audience, more than likely, is business resiliency. There's a little bit of a difference between business resiliency and personal resiliency, but they should correlate as closely as possible. Resiliency in the entrepreneurial world, and for those that I coach that are entrepreneurs or startups and first phase or new ideas, or it comes down to, really, in my mind, in simplistic terms, three things. Number one is faith. You cannot be resilient if you don't have faith. And faith starts with your character, the human being that you are. Do you have faith in the person you are? Do you like what you see when you look in the mirror? If you have faith in yourself, you automatically have a level of resiliency. The second is support. To Edmund's point about those that came home after serving their nations on the global fight on terror and struggled to come home, those that had a bigger support network, a better family support network, those that had support. Resiliency is based on the fundamental support mechanisms we have in our lives. Mentoring and having mentors is a great way to build support. And the third thing, and I think that as we come into the post-COVID era, and we are moving what we thought was light speed prior to COVID is really light speed now. The third, and I think most fundamental component to the foundation of the triangle of resiliency, is to lean in. So if we have faith, we have support, and we constantly lean into the challenges, then we will be resilient by default. So resiliency is easy if you follow those three things. And look, we always, and I think it was Rocky Balboa that said, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That is the very definition of resiliency. I need to have faith in myself. I need to have a good support group, people that believe in me and people that I believe in. And I need to be able to take a punch, right? And just know that I just need to lean in, just lean in and keep leaning in. We don't fail 70 times. We learn 70 different ways not to do it. That's the difference in mindset perspective right there.
And thank you, gentlemen, so much, man. Well, I want to be cautious for time. I would say maybe just 2 more minutes, and then we got to get off. But anybody has any closing words for our audience, and I want to say thank you so much, guys, once again, man. I think this is really going to help a lot of people out.
Thank you, Aaron. This was wonderful. And Edmund and Scott, my first time meeting both of you. Loved everything you shared. Thank you both so much for being here with us. And for everyone who's listening, hope this was valuable.
Yeah, agreed. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been an honor and my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you guys.
Great.
Yes. So I just wanted to, I want to get these three gentlemen together because I think that, as you guys see, great minds, and they have overcome and really just went through a lot of resiliency themselves to accomplish the things they have gone in their lives, and now coaching people on it. So I just want to sign off right now, but thank you, guys, so much for having us. Maybe we'll have this another time, but we're signing off right now. Thank you so much.